Good day, everybody. This is the Ecclesiarch here, back with some more Horus Heresy Legions fan-made content, and today we're going to be discussing what I do believe is the last part of Shadowlands fan-made cards. So, as you know, we have not had neutrals as well as the unaligned factions yet. So, those are the ones that we're gonna discuss today: the Knights, the Titans, the Orphans, the Calibanites, the Chaos, Mechanicum, as well as the Imperial Army. So without further ado, let's get right into it, and let's actually begin from the Knights. And the Warlord that we have for the Knights is a very interesting one, to be honest. That's Eris Lictor, Lord of House Tyrannus. And he has a very simple ability at that. Your next Mechanicum or Structure card this turn costs 1 less. So this is a pilot. Obviously, that's why he doesn't have the HP and the attack, if any one of you was wondering. And honestly speaking, this is very, very interesting. Now, the reason why this is interesting is that the first thing that instantly comes to my mind is the fact that Mechanicum have a couple of very scary legendary cards. Let me actually show you what I'm talking about. For example, let's take the Forge Master, right? Or Castiel Illustri. So he can technically play the Forge Master for 1 energy less. Now, this is super terrifying, and I'll tell you why. If you use the old chassis, there are a couple of new Knight chassis here as well, but I'm going to show you the old one. So if you use the Questoris style, you start with 1 more energy, right? So you're starting with 3 energy. So if you have double drilling sight in hand, you can do double drilling sight, then use your ability, and you're dropping the friggin' Forge Master on turn 1. So that could be super scary. Now, on top of that, there's also Illustri, as I said, to draw some vehicles. And on top of that, you can play some very cool Mechanicum stuff early on. Now, do not forget that the Sidon protocols, heal 3 to your Warlord and give it Relentless, create Mechanicum infantry in your hand, can also synergize pretty well with this guy, because he will be able, he pretty much will be able to just play this and just play all the Mechanicum troops for cheaper. And let's take a look at the structures, because we don't forget that this also works for structures. And you know, playing Munition Depot on turn 1, for example, is very scary, because not a lot of people will be able to deal with this. Mining Outpost could also be a thing, because you're now playing it for 3. Communication Relay, you're playing for 4, still not really that good. But the main moment that we have here is that this guy will be able to play some stuff that is usually unplayable earlier, which is going to make it stronger, obviously. And on top of that, he's going to be able to tempo some insane Mechanicum stuff. That is absolutely nuts. I think that that's actually a very interesting way to play. And yeah, this could make like very interesting combos. Like, let's also take a look at some of the Mechanicum cards while we're at it. So he could play some of these cards for much cheaper. So, for example, what could it be? What could be crazy? Like, you could play Secutor for 3 energy, which is pretty nuts. Even playing something like Castellax could be good, because imagine playing this for 3 energy. Even though it attacks at the start of your turn, it's going to be a 3 energy 4/5, right? So that's also pretty cool. Illustri, I already said. He could even go for something like Death of Innocence. What he could also do? Let's take a look. He could play Forge World earlier, which is oh, this is actually pretty crazy. Like, Forge World for 9 energy, for example. Refinery is not going to be that good. Abominable Intelligence for 8 energy. I know there's like a lot of stuff that this guy could actually do. Even Paragon of Metal for 7. So yeah, I do see that there's going to be some very nice combos possible with this guy. Now, more interesting will be if we take a look at the Knight Houses, the chassis that he added. So he added actually, I believe, 3 of those. So number 1 is the Armiger Knight, I believe that's how it's read. So it has high initiative, reactor 1, and sneak attack, but has only 25 health. This is actually super interesting, because if you have like sneak attack right off the bat, you could certainly play something like Prideful Seneschal, because you could attack without taking any damage, and that would be actually pretty scary, because now you'll be able to just build your make a prideful seneschal build, and you're not going to be taking any damage whatsoever when you'll be attacking, which is really good. Like, for example, you could get the Thunderstrike Gauntlet and stuff like that, and it would become very scary. I don't think, however, with Armiger Knight you would want to use the new Warlord, Eris Lictor. I think the one that you would probably go for with that is either Gravewalker, because he can get a weapon, Albart Divine for the same reason, or you can go for Hrotham to just generate some new weapons. Anyway, this would be like a 100% prideful seneschal type of warlord. Chazis. Now the next one is Dominus Knight. Now Dominus Knight has 2 additional weapon slots. Your weapons have the first time they're activated. Each turn costs 1 less. So the weapons will be played for 1 less every time they get activated for the first time. So coupled with Tech Priest Adjutant, that could be pretty good. So you're essentially going to be playing a mini Titan, right? So you can fill up your board with weapons. Now, obviously, the first thing that comes to my mind is Elizabeth War. Reason for that being she can make the weapons stronger. Now, that is very good, because if you want to have like 4 weapons, you certainly want to have a little bit of survival so that those weapons just don't get lost, right? So you could get things like a battle cannon, an ionic gauntlet shield, have an Atropos Less Cutter in there as well, and maybe even add a flame cannon. This could give a lot of possibilities. Or you would play Alsar Orlak, because he can gain the energy, and with his energy generation plus the reduction, it would be like insanity. You would just go for a lot of weapons, and it would just be a little bit nuts. However, the next one is absolutely crazy. You got the Asterius Knight, 45 HP, no less, and Reactor 2 on top, and double all the numeric values of your weapons equipped. And basically accept cost, and then you give them siege, right? Actually, I just realized one thing. Dominus Knight doesn't have a reactor, so that really balances it out. That's pretty interesting. So probably you would want to go with Orthlax so that you are able to generate stuff, or you could use the new Warlord, and with the new Warlord you could drop like stuff like plasma generators and the other things earlier so that they can generate stuff for you. That's also a possibility. But the Asterius Knight, so double the numerical values. So basically it's useless to use Atropos Less Cutter or Flame Cannon with these guys, because once you use them, when they can act again, they just have to siege up again. But then again, they're gonna deal 2 and 3 damage. This Battle Cannon is going to deal 4 damage, right? So it's gonna be siege, but 4 damage. But the first thing that might come into your mind is like Graviton Cannon for 20, Magna Las Cannon for 10, and Volkite Chiaroville. Yeah, this is gonna be... this is nothing. So yeah, this is an interesting one for sure. So what would you want to do with this Warlord? Probably what you want to do with this Warlord is you would play to ramp up. So you would probably want to ramp as soon as you can, and you would want to use your Graviton Cannon, I guess. So you would play like stuff like Asteroid Belts, drilling sites, and things like that. Honestly speaking, I'm not the best Knights player because I almost never play them, so it doesn't really come to my mind how you would actually build them. But those are the things that I think that this pattern would play for Graviton Cannon. The last one would probably play with Orlak or Vor, and the first one would most probably play Prideful Seneschal. These are very interesting. They're much more interesting than the things that we got here, because most of these are just flat out monkey. So yeah, I do believe that is very interesting. However, the new Warlord will probably use the Questoris chassis. That's my opinion, boys. Now, the next thing that we have is very interesting. We have the Defenders of Caliban, and we have Salus Megon, Mistress of the Angelicata, and her ability is that your structures have resolution, give 0+1 to your non-structure units. That includes the Warlord as well, and Siege, put in play 1 Knightly Fortress, which in this case would be a 5 energy 2/7. This is really good. So you could start off your first turn as Siege, and once you gain your initiative, you could just drop this. Now this is pretty interesting. So you would want to build around structures. Like let's actually think about how we would build this Warlord, because it's a little it's a little more interesting, right? Now, obviously, it doesn't really matter how the hell you're playing. There are just some cards that you have to include on your Caliban decks, right? There are just some cards that are a must-have, and I'm just throwing some of those cards in there. Let's just say like that. Maybe Praetor Castile too, but these are some of the major things that you want to have. Now, let's take a look at the structure, right? Now, Knightly Fortress could be pretty good. She already summons Knightly Fortresses as it is. However, you could still include double Knightly Fortress, because what you could do there is you could play one Knightly Fortress and the second one the next turn, which could be pretty interesting. You could also play Alduruk just for the memes, but Alduruk is just a little bit slow. Even though I love the art and the whole idea of the card, I just am afraid that this would probably not be that good. You could try something like Terraforming, because, you know, you could choose a structure and add it, but I think the Selenar Citadel would be very, very interesting, because with Selenar Citadel you essentially get ways of buffing the troops that are in your hand plus on the board. So this would actually make it very, very interesting to play Selenar Citadel. Forward Bunker is actually pretty funny, because when you would play Forward Bunker, you would buff your units a little too much. So imagine your Caliban Jaegers, like you play you Siege, then maybe you play your Local Uprising and drop a bunker between them. Every turn their health increases by 2. That would be pretty interesting. So I think this Warlord could actually make a lot of sense. A lot of things that you have would just be able to ramp up in health. That, I think, would be super interesting. So that's how you would probably play. You would mix the Caliban cards together with like something like the Bunker and the Citadel and perhaps another Knightly Fortress. Or maybe you wouldn't even include Knightly Fortress, because you can already summon Knightly Fortresses, so you could just play some other units to just spam the board. That is pretty interesting. I do like the whole idea of this Warlord. I think that it's a very different and interesting way to just do things. Now, the next thing that we actually have here is going to be for Orphans of War, Numarak the Crippled King, and this is a hard one, honestly. Copy the keywords of the next Astartes you put in play this turn, and give them to all the Astartes that you control until your next turn. So basically, you use this, you play an Astartes, and everybody else gets the keyword. Now, that is pretty interesting, because essentially until your next turn. So what you could do is you could give all your units stealth. That's number one. You could give all your units sacrifice, basically from this, and survivor. That could be pretty dope. You could give precognitions through Atharva, which is also pretty crazy. You could give flank. This is a hard one. This is a hard one indeed. And you could play the Chimera, because if this gets Bloodthirst and you drop it and everything else gets Bloodthirst, holy crap, that would be crazy. Yeah, this is really strong. Like, of course, this has to be for Astartes only, so that's very nuts, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I think you would just include the standard package of Orphans of War. However, you would want to focus a bit on stealth units, and I think the Chimera would be really powerful, because if you think about it, like if this gets Bloodthirst, your whole board gets Bloodthirst. So imagine giving your board stealth first, and then suddenly dropping the Bloodthirst Chimera and just finishing off your opponent. Of course, this would not be like super reliable, because you cannot choose when this thing gets Bloodthirst, so it would still be a little difficult. But holy hell, this is like very interesting. This is like very interesting. And I guess you could also copy resolutions like healing 3 and so on, so that's also pretty good. There's a lot of very interesting stuff that you could copy and you could play for, but I don't think that the standard build of the Orphans of War would change much, because it's about the Astartes. So most of the Astartes of Orphans of War are very good as they are, so we still use them. So I think the build would not change a lot, apart from adding the Chimera. Now, next we have actually one of my personal favorites, and that would be the Imperial Army, Algon Casario, the Rogue Trader. So look at this. Your deck may include cards from 2 additional factions. 2 energy, choose one, deal 2 2 to a random enemy, draw a card, or heal 2. Okay, that's a very nice ability, of course, to deal 2 damage, or heal, or draw a card. That's perfect. But holy shit, so you could essentially play the current event, right? So you could play the current event. You could build like... You could build... Oh my god. So you could build like... let's say... Sons of Horus Iron Warriors, Sons of Horus Death Guard, like Death Guard with something else. That is so nuts. What comes to mind instantly? I don't know what comes to mind instantly. One thing that instantly came to my mind is playing Thousand Suns and getting like a lot of card draw from other factions, because usually that's the thing that they struggle with, which is card draw. So maybe line up with Sons of Horus or something over there. Or for example, there's like infinite possibilities. You could play, let's say, a vehicle mission, and you could include vehicles from 2 factions. Like imagine playing the Mechanicum mission and playing with the Emperor's Children, obviously because they have a lot of vehicles, but on top of that also including something like maybe the Iron Hands. That would be absolutely nuts. Or actually playing Ruin Storm and mixed with another faction which actually has card draw. And does that also include Titan units? Because some of the Titan units are crazy powerful. Yeah, this is really difficult. Or play, for example, some Wordbearer cards. Yeah, this is like very, very hard to cook up. This would probably be one of the most difficult to build warlords, but as soon as the meta would settle for this warlord, it would be absolute mayhem, because you're essentially playing mixture of 2 factions, which can be so friggin' scary. I don't even know, man. That would be like absolutely nuts. Nothing just comes to mind like from the top of my head. Maybe you guys would like to write what your favorite combos would be, because nothing actually comes to my mind right now, because this is like infinite possibilities, man. Like this is absolutely nuts. I don't know. I really don't know what to say here. Or the ability to create seals from some of the agents of Sigillite units. Oh my god, there's like a lot of crazy stuff, honestly. There's like a lot of crazy stuff. I don't even know, man. This would be absolutely crazy, and I love it. This is like something that would be nuts, and I really, really, really like it. Or you could go for a mindfuck and make a Space Wolves and a Thousand Suns mixture. Imagine that. That would be absolutely nuts. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And please, guys, comment how you would build this warlord. This is absolutely insane. And the next thing that we have is Chaos, the Changeling Tzeentch Trickster. Finally, a Tzeentch-based warlord for Chaos or Ruinstorm. This is like really, really good. Your troops are all troop types and have all troop subtypes and are for all faction at the same time. Your next tactic this turn costs 1 less. What the hell? Oh my god. So basically, you could use Cygnus Acolyte to buff everything. You could use Preacher of Doom to get cultists from everything. You consider everything as a demon, so Priest of the Old Faith makes everything cost 1 less. What the hell is going on? Your Acleon Wordsinger buffs everything. Your Outrage Noble reduces the cost of everything. Yeah, that's a little crazy. That is a little crazy. Your Remnant also buffs everything, including itself. Holy shit. Okay, one thing just came into my mind. You know how I would play this warlord. You could play this warlord for Baleful Assembly. I'm not friggin' joking. I would play this Warlord for Baleful Assembly. And look at this. Drop in Asteroid Belts and just Command Bridge plus Drilling Sites and Baleful Assembly. Imagine the Baleful Assembly, because since all your troops are from all factions, you're reducing the cost of everything in your hand to 1. That would include all the Imperial Army cards as well, like Defense Force, like the Mechanicum cards as well. That is so crazy. If you would play Desperate Defense, no, not Desperate Defense or Defense Force, it would be considered as a Chaos card. You would drop it for 1. You could play Marcus Valerius and it's still Solar Auxilia. Jesus. You could either play like crazy Solar Auxilia type of build, because everything would be Solar Auxilia. Oh my god. What is going on? So either I would go for Baleful Assembly and just drop in some crazy late game units from both Mechanicum and Imperium, or I would play like a Solar Auxilia mixed with Traitor Auxilia. That would be also absolutely nuts. So think about that. There's so many possibilities with this. I just love it. This is like very, very, very interesting. Like, comment what would be your build of choice. This is like absolutely perfect. Now, let's take a look at the next one, which is Zagreus Kane, and I'm very happy that Zagreus Kane is a Warlord and not a fucking epic card, because he deserves some better than that, and his maximum energy is 10 energy more, maximum possible energy, and 0 energy, Gator Shield, choose a Titan weapon with Siege, replace this ability with the Titan weapon until the ability is used. That's pretty nuts, because imagine like if you get... Imagine if you get the DSE Ray or the other Emperor Titan Plasma Annihilator. That would be absolutely crazy. So you would definitely go for what? You would go with this for Drilling Sites. You would go for Asteroid Belts to ramp up energy. But on top of that, you would go for Orders from Terra. So you would need a ton of energy manipulation and Orders from Terra on this Warlord, because that would make it very interesting. Like, imagine just how much havoc this guy can wreak. But on the other hand, this won't be like a crazy powerful Warlord, because the thing with this, the problem is that it's gonna be very RNG based, because there's a ton of Titan abilities. Most of them are very good, obviously. However, sometimes you might win the game outright, sometimes you might just get a very shitty ability. But overall, this is like a crazy powerful Warlord. Has things to stall for as well. So I think the only thing you do to build this is just get a lot of energy manipulation, and of course you would get Orders from Terra. So Drilling Site, Asteroid Belt, like Arvus Lighter and all that jazz. That would be like super interesting. And Malkial, of course. Okay, gentlemen, let's now go through the most interesting part, which is actually the Titans, and you'd be surprised. But the reason for that is that he actually added 2 more Warhound Titans, and that is super cool, because Warhound Titans are cool and based. Basically, this is what we have. For the Loyalists, we have the Legiotarus Warhound Scout Titan. So we got shield 30 HP. Your Warlord counts as a Titan weapon for effects you control if it hasn't acted this turn. So basically your Warlord is a Titan weapon. Now that is very interesting. Like, that had me thinking, like, why would you wanna do that, right? But because there are a couple of things that I believe buff or shield your Titan weapons, heal your Titan weapons, and do things like that. Like, let's take a look. For example, let me see. Emergency repair. So look at this. Heal 8 or remove stun from a friendly Titan weapon. So essentially you could heal for 8 and remove a stun for 4 energy, which is absolutely great. You could also use Void Shield Relay. Oh, okay, this is a unit, never mind. What does this do? Heal 3 to your weapon, Warlord, and Titan weapons, and give them shield. Okay, this is also there. So as once again, I don't play a lot of Titans, so I don't okay, you could have Tacticarus Moderati. There you go. Absolutely crazy. So you could heal 2 and give shield to your Warlord, not your Titan weapon. So with Tacticarus Moderati, you heal yourself and shield yourself every turn. Like, imagine that. That's absolutely crazy. And it's not that crazy because you're 30 HP. But then again, it's still very crazy. Now, before we talk about building these guys, let me first show you the second Warlord. So this is the Legio Audax Warhound Titan for traitors. Once again, it counts as a Titan weapon, and if it hasn't acted this turn. Now, the most interesting thing that I can tell you here is this. Let's go to the traitors, and let's go here, and let me actually check one very crazy card here, which I don't have. Really? I don't have it. I thought I had all the cards. Okay, first of all, Titanica Infernus. So essentially, you could give yourself +1 and Awakened, which is pretty nuts. But wait a minute, I don't have all the cards? Let me check. Yeah, I don't have the Creeping Madness. I thought I had... Oh, no, I have it. Okay, here it is. So, Creeping Madness. So, with Creeping Madness... you could buff yourself, and imagine like with Creeping Madness plus on top of that Titanica Infernus on your Warlord. That would be like friggin' disgusting. You would get like tons of damage on your Warlord, and you would get like extremely powerful. With Days of Wrath, you would you know, it already targets your Warlord. Never mind that. You can see that I almost never play the Titans because I'm kind of confused that so what are some of the effects that work on it. Okay, for example, this heal 3 or remove stun from friendly unit and give it okay, never mind. So you can also use it on your Warlord. Is there anything else that I can use only on a Titan weapon? There you go, heal 3 or remove Awakened. This could also be like really nice because you could remove Awakened from your Warlord once you buff it. That would be like pretty good. Because Titanica Infernus, I believe, yeah, it's a resolution. So you cannot really combo there. However, wait a minute. I do believe there was also a Bloodthirst ability here somewhere, right? I think there was a Bloodthirst ability that they had. Let me actually check. Infernal Allegiance. What is this? Shield and Awaken to Vehicle Titan Weapon. You could also use that. Blood Hungry, yeah. So, essentially, you could do a one-shot build. You could buff your Warlord with Titanica Infernus and stuff like that. Don't forget, guys, these are Warhounds. They don't have Titan weapons. So, these effects like Tacticarus Moderati and this are going to hit them both. For Loyalists, you build with Tacticarus. For these guys, you build with Titanica Infernus, and then use Blood Hungry to just one-shot your opponent. But the most interesting thing here is not the Warlord itself, but it's how you choose your Warlord power. Essentially, you are going to have a deck builder for Warhounds as well. So you choose like a pattern, and then you choose 2 weapons, and essentially you combine to create your Warlord power, and the weapon you place on the left fires first, the one who place on the right fires second. So let's take a look. For example, the first one here is the what's it called again? Oh my god. Yeah, there you go. Warhound weapon standard. So you got 3 options. You got the Inferno Gun, deal 1 damage to all other units. You got the Vulcan Mega Bolter, deal 1 damage to random enemy troop 3 times. And you also got Plasma Blast Gun, deal 1 damage to 2 random enemies, and upgrade to 2 damage if taken twice. Oh, okay, so if like it has the same target twice, then yeah. So essentially, if I place an Inferno Gun to the left and Vulcan Mega Bolter to the right, you will shoot like your Inferno Gun first, and then you shoot a Mega Bolter. This could be interesting depending on what's the meta, what the opponents are, and how you would choose to kind of optimize it. But there's also like siege weapons. So number 1 is Missile Pod. Siege, create missile launcher in your hand. Turbolaser Destructor is 1 siege, deal 3 damage, ordnance 2, and Volkite Eradicator is 0 damage, deal 1 damage to another target unit. The Turbolaser is really good, and Missile Launcher is also really good because I believe the Missile Launcher draws a card, if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually check that. No, you cannot see it here. Never mind. Yeah, I believe the Missile Launcher is the one that that draws you a card and deals 3 damage. Anyway, there's also melee weapons. Melt Lance, your Warlord has Cleave 1. There's also Shock Lance, your Warlord has First Strike. sneak attack if taken twice. Oh, I got it. So if you take the same weapon twice, you get sneak attack. And if you get that second weapon... Oh, okay, I got it. So if you take the same weapon twice is what you get. So it becomes a sneak attack if you take Shock Lancer twice. And you got the Ursus Claw. If taken on the left hand, your Warlord's +1 attack during your turn. And if taken to the right arm, +1 attack during the opponent's turn. Jesus. This is like absolutely nuts. Obviously, you would want to go for a melee build with the what's it called again? The Traitor Titans, because when you get like First Strike or Sneak Attack, even better, whenever your unit awakens, it's going to prioritize targeting troops, so it's not gonna go face like a degenerate. If your Warlord awakens, it's gonna do some more favorable traits, so that's a good idea. Plus, imagine like all that damage with First Strike or Sneak Attack. Oh my god, this is pretty toxic. This is pretty powerful. This is pretty powerful. I guess with the Loyalist, you would either want to go with siege weapons or standard weapons. I think siege weapons would be pretty nice, considering the fact that they'll have a lot of survivability with Tactica Ars Moderati. But with these ones, you gotta go melee. Like, if you don't go melee with Traitor Titan, you'll be missing out, man. It's gonna be a crazy powerful combo. Anyways, gentlemen, so please tell me what you think once again about these cars. They're like crazy interesting, and especially the Imperial Army Warlord one. Please tell me what you think. So leave a comment, and thank you for watching once again, gentlemen. Ecclesiarch out.